Hello everyone, this is an online training provided by the Data Protection team. The record of this event will be available later for continuous training. The main goal of this training is to raise awareness among UBS freelancers and provide some basic insight into data protection rules. We won't talk about any boring theories about definitions, principles, or legal provisions. Rather, let's just look into some practical examples of personal data and the main rules of managing personal data when performing the contract. First of all, let's talk about the biggest category of individuals whose data we process almost every single day: our clients. As you can see, some examples of personal data are name, ID number, email address, call records, etc. Some pieces of information, however, do not constitute personal data if they remain unconnected to an individual. So, for example, a birthday without a name who belongs to it is just a bunch of numbers. We'll go through several more examples in the next few slides. The second biggest category of individuals whose data we process even more often than our clients' data is us, freelance travel agents. Freelance travel agents as contractors might have the same kind of data as our clients: name, address, ID number, etc. At the same time, contractors' data is a specific category, which concerns legal persons. Freelancers' contract data is used for B2B relationships. It is still personal data, which must be protected under the contractual provisions. Again, some pieces of information will not constitute personal data if they remain unconnected to identifiers, like name, title, or ID number. Let's try to consolidate our practical knowledge and look into a couple of cases. We've prepared two groups of data. One is not considered personal, and the other is. In the first group, you can see pieces of information which are not identifiable. A ticket price, an amount of commission, or an email from a generic address cannot identify neither the sender nor the receiver. They do not constitute personal data if they are not linked with an identifiable piece of information. In the second group, the same pieces of information have become personal data because they were linked to an identifiable piece of information. The same ticket price, commission, or an email, now linked with a name, have become a personal data. Also, pay close attention to the fact that we do not need to link pieces of information to a name for them to become personal data. Other qualifiers like ID numbers or specific titles can identify someone without using their actual name. As an example, in the first box, you can see a statement about someone being infected with COVID. We do not consider that personal data because it does not identify any one single person. But if we specify that a manager of a specific department is sick, the context is enough to identify that person without ever using their actual name. So now that we're able to recognize personal data among pieces of information, we should move on to the main topic: data protection rules. First of all, we should understand why protecting personal data is so important. Here you can see the four main arguments for the importance of protecting personal data. First of all, trust. It is highly important for a company to have the trust of its contractors and clients. This trust cannot be established if their personal information isn't secure, if the protocols and rules behind safeguarding their personal data aren't clear and aren't enforced. The second point is responsibility. We are obligated to keep client data confidential. Responsibility is also accountability. We must demonstrate that we take data protection seriously. Another important point is compliance with data protection laws. Though we might face millions in penalties for breaking data protection laws, we face even greater danger from hackers and identity thieves. These rules are essential in protecting the company and its clients. Last but not least is our reputation. Just one mistake in processing personal data can lead to a severe loss of reputation for both us and our clients. If our clients don't trust us with their data, our reputation may be permanently damaged. So now that we know how important personal data is, how do we protect it? We can always just pray that nothing bad happens, but as we know, it never works out that way, right? Or we can simply learn how to apply common sense to our personal data and remain assured that it will never end up in the wrong hands. So what does that mean? Well, first of all individuals whose data we collect must be informed of the collection. We must justify their expectations by demonstrating that data is collected fairly and legally. We must inform them of the reason why we collect this data and how long it will be stored for. This can be done just once and either through a privacy policy, a disclaimer, checkboxes, or even through an email or a phone call. There are no strict rules about how exactly we must inform our client, as long as we are transparent and clear about it. Minimization is a simple yet powerful practice in safeguarding our data. If we don't need personal data to answer a certain question or fulfill a request, then we simply do not use it, or in other cases, remove it from attached materials. As you can see in this small example, we need just the number of persons who wish to be vaccinated, rather than their names and identities. So if a survey is being used, we must only collect the total number of persons instead of their names and emails. Since minimization is very important, we have specifically prepared a few more examples. This is a very popular example. As you can see, someone has requested help from the help desk in fixing a bug in their Teams client. In the ticket, they have included a screenshot of the bug where everyone can see their private messages and the names of recipients. We have marked all the private data in red. This is a mistake. The right way to do this is to crop the screenshot and remove all unnecessary data from the picture. If that is hard to do, blur the data in an image processing software. Another example of unnecessary data usage has to do with attachments. When you attach a document in an email, you lose control over it. It can be copied and sent to other people without your knowledge or control. This is a dangerous way of sharing necessary files containing personal data. That is why we strongly advise you to share instead of attaching files. When you share, you can individually control who sees and edits the file, and can always remove editing and viewership rights. Of course, shared files can also be copied and downloaded, but there is an added layer of security with sharing. Don't forget about confidentiality. Do not disclose any personal data to unauthorized persons. We agree that keeping data confidential might require some effort, but it goes a long way in protecting everyone from data breaches. Here you can find very practical yet simple ways of keeping data confidential. In these two examples, there is a need to communicate to our team members certain client records and calls. Since our team members have access to our internal databases and systems, it is much more secure to report internal client IDs instead of their real names, phones, and addresses. The less direct identifiable data is transmitted, the safer we all are. So, minimization, confidentiality, what else? Unnecessary data must always be deleted or anonymized. We can always do it either automatically or manually, but it must be done. Once data has been processed and is no longer needed, we must either delete it completely, or if that is not possible, anonymize it to safeguard the privacy of all involved parties. This is a major challenge for most companies, since regional laws and regulations mandate that they remove all unnecessary data in a certain time frame. As you can see in the examples below, the general data retention period is 10 years. That means, unless stated otherwise, all that unnecessary data must be deleted after 10 years. However, in other cases, it is much shorter. If a password was sent via email or chat, we must delete the message after successful login. A client provided an emergency contact to notify about flight changes. We must remove the contact after the flight because it is no longer relevant and needed. So, last but not least is the data security question. We have a strong information security policy that we apply to all passwords and other related processes. We keep our firewalls, software, servers, and routers up to date and secure. But still, Especially since the pandemic, as most of us have transitioned to operating from home, the responsibility for data security falls on us. We must not forget to use strong passwords in all of our accounts. We must keep our software up to date. Never open suspicious outside emails. Never send any sensitive information to outside sources unless required. At the end of the day, we have the responsibility and the power to safeguard ourselves and our clients from malicious attacks and hackers. We are our own superheroes, capable of defending our data. Only you as a team member can prevent such cases and save your colleagues and clients from such attacks. These were some of the basics of personal data protection. Our data protection team is always here to help in complicated cases. If you have any questions relating to personal data, please don't hesitate and reach out. Our data protection team is interested in receiving all signals of potential data breaches. And now, let us welcome our data protection team for the following quiz.